Hey guys, Dan here, and this is Dan Does Disney. Tim is over on Zoom. Hello, Tim.
Hi, everybody.
And Tim actually has our movie this week. It is not on Disney Plus, so we swapped the DVD around. And what are we going to review today?
We will be watching, reviewing, we watched already, Toby Tyler or 10 Weeks with a Circus.
Yes, the famously two named movie, and for some reason the DVD just says Toby Tyler.
Yeah, but
it's
the movie itself says both titles.
Okay. See, yeah, I watched it before you told me that, so I didn't even know that. But so like we do on Dan Does Disney, we'll talk a little bit about the history of this movie, and then we'll get into the specifics of the story and the characters and all of that, and then give our review. Tim, you probably noticed there wasn't a ton about this one on our usual websites.
Yeah, I took the usual sites that I look at, and then that's about all I did.
All right. Well, so I went pretty deep on this one. There's actually a lot of things about this movie on some of my other Disney fan sites. So I do have some background here. This is based on an 1880 children's book called Toby Tyler or 10 Weeks with the Circus. And it was actually originally a serial story in Harper's Young People in 1877. I guess that was before even Reader's Digest, probably, but it was first serial, and then they made it into a book. And they also filmed this story once before at the movies in 1923 with Jackie Coogan called Circus Days. And that movie was thought lost for a long time, but they recently found it, I guess, a few years ago, but it's still not made publicly available yet, but it does still exist. And we have the writers here from Shaggy Dog, Bill Walsh and Lily Hayward. They previously collaborated on the Shaggy Dog, which was Disney's biggest hit of the previous year, 1959. We should say we're now in 1960. This was the first film they put out in 1960. And they lightened the tone considerably from the book. They softened Toby's character a little bit, making him a bit more sympathetic. I thought he was quite sympathetic, Tim.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he's portrayed in the novel, but I thought that worked. So this made $3.1 million in theaters at the time. It was never re-released in theaters, but it did air on the Disneyland TV show in November of 1964. Film was shot at Golden Oak Ranch in California, and a lot of the circus wagons they used in the film were purchased by Disney for use in Disneyland's very short-lived Mickey Mouse Club Circus. And then eventually they were donated to the Circus World Museum, which is in Wisconsin. Disney also obtained the film's clowns and aerialists right from Ringling Brothers, and the elephants from a park called Jungle Land in Thousand Oaks, California. Now, Tim will talk as usual about the Disney, the actors and what we've seen them in before and such. But this cast has one longtime Disney employee that has been with the studio since before Snow White, but he makes his first acting debut here. He plays the band leader. It's composer Oliver Wallace. He was 72 years old at the time, and he gets the on-credit screen and introducing Oliver Wallace because of that. And he actually did not do the score for Toby Tyler. He did a bunch of other Disney scores, but for this one, he actually didn't. They went with this new dude at the time, Buddy Baker. And he worked on Davy Crockett. Tim and I were just talking off air about Tim's great Davy Crockett hat back in the day.
Yep.
So we know him from that. And then he did the Mickey Mouse Club as well, but he would actually be with the studio until the early 1980s. So this dude Baker went a long, long time with the studio. All right, so let's see. What else do I have before we get into the nitty gritty here? Oh, the chimp. Yes, we will talk about the chimp for a second. So Toby Tyler's chimpanzee they found from the Jack Benny program in 1959. And back in the day, Tim, I know you don't watch a lot of like classic TV, but
Nope.
back in the day, that was quite the catch. You want to get a chimp on your show, you want to get a monkey on your sitcom. And in fact, I know it must have been about this era. The Today Show actually had a chimp like in the news department of the Today Show back in it had to be in the 50s or 60s. I don't know when, but long before like Tom Brokaw or James Pauly or any of them were on it. I think it was Dave Garroway was the anchor, but they had a chimp daily on the news every single morning. I don't know what he did, but
throw things in.
Yes, it's a bit odd. But anyway, so let's see. They gave him the dressing room formerly occupied by the dog from the Shaggy Dog, so they just kind of rotated animals out there. And he wore $75 suits in the movie, which for the time had to be, I mean, hundreds. I don't know the inflation exactly, but
yeah,
I barely have a $75 suit now. So for them to be giving it to a chimp, that says something. All right. So what else? I guess that's about it. Oh, well, you might talk about a couple of people from the Zorro TV show. Yep. But the reason they're in this is because of a big contract dispute they had with ABC, which aired the Zorro TV program. So Zorro was like on hiatus. I don't think it actually ever returned after this. I think the hiatus became permanent, but Disney still had them under contract. So they were like, well, let's put them in Toby Tyler. So with that, I'm going to throw it to Tim. We're going to hear about the actors in this and the story.
Yeah. So Toby Tyler and or 10 Weeks with a Circus, like Dan said, it's based off a 1880s children's book, and that was written by James Otis Kaler. So we have Toby Tyler. He's a young boy, and his parents are dead. And he believes that his uncle and aunt no longer want to take care of him because his uncle said that he was a millstone around his neck. So he runs away and he joins the circus, working for Mr. Tupper as a concessionaire. Mr. Tupper is a conniving man and he's stealing from Toby's tips, but Toby is still making good money to take home with him. But more importantly, he's making many friends with the strong man named Ben, circus clown Sam, and most of all, a mischievous chimpanzee named Mr. Stubbs. So get your peanuts, your popcorn, and your candy apples. Grab a seat and see Toby Tyler take center stage at the Three Ring Circus.
Yes, but not on Disney Plus, of course.
Not on Disney Plus.
You can only see it on DVD, or probably you can download it from Amazon Prime or something. But as of now, no Disney Plus mention.
So the cast, we have Kevin Corcoran, who we've seen before. He was in Old Yeller. He was just in The Shaggy Dog the year before. And we'll actually see him 4 more times in Disney movies, not counting this one.
Gee.
So, yeah. One of those.
That's one of the most prolific ones then, Tim.
Yeah, he's in 7 of them. I think that's up there with I think they say Fred MacMurray. My one source said 7, but the other one said 6 starring roles. So maybe he has 7. But yeah, this kid Kevin Corcoran, we'll see him in what we've been talking about leading up to at the end of the year is Swiss Family Robinson. He's in that. He's in with Fred MacMurray in Bon Voyage. So Henry Calvin, he plays Ben Cotter, who's the strong man. He's the animal trainer. He's basically everything. He's he drives the circus wagons. Like Dan said, he was from the Zorro TV show, and he is also in Babes of Toyland with Kevin Corcoran. And I felt like he was kind of like the heart of the movie with his heart kind of like connecting and making friends with Toby there. And then we have Gene Sheldon, who I thought was kind of like more the humor of the movie. And he plays Sam Treat, who is the circus clown, who's also friends with Toby. He's also from the Zorro TV show. And he's also in Babes of Toyland with both Henry Calvin and Kevin Corcoran.
So they must have been on contract for Zorro, and then when Zorro got canceled, they were like, well, let's just put them in both of these movies before. And we'll get to the Zorro. We've been talking a little bit about the Zorro compilation movie that we'll be doing soon.
Yeah, I think it actually went back on air because the thing that I read, it said they could do this because Zorro was off air because of legal disputes. So I think maybe it does go back. There was a lot of episodes of Zorro.
Yeah, I think it did run at least 2 years, but remember that's back when seasons were like 39 episodes. So I think it only ran 2 seasons, but maybe you're right. I didn't look at specifically what years it ran, but I thought it was 57 to 59. Well, we'll have to look that up, but I don't know. That's a good question.
So then we also have Bob Sweeney playing Harry Tupper, who's kind of painted as the villain in this movie. But I don't know if he's super villainous. He's a little shady, we'll say.
Very shady.
Yeah. So he goes on to produce and direct lots of television shows in his future, including Hawaii Five-O, The Love Boat. He directs a handful of episodes for those. He doesn't do much more acting. And then we have the last name I wrote down here. I have Richard Eastham. He played Colonel Sam Castle. He was kind of like the ringleader and the owner of the circus. We'll see him one more time in Disney movies, and that is That Darn Cat. He has a role in that. But he also 91 episodes of a TV show called Tombstone Territory, and then he's also in 13 episodes of Wonder Woman.
Well, I of course know Wonder Woman. I'll be honest, I don't know Tombstone Territory.
Yeah, I think that was on prior to him getting this. So maybe that ran
okay.
before this and then in a little bit after this, but 91 episodes. Yeah. So
that is a lot. But yeah, Westerns were big in the 50s. So I guess that there's probably a ton I've never heard of. But that seems like a lot of episodes for something I don't know.
So I think he was either the star or the co-star. So if he's in 91 episodes, he has a big part.
Yeah.
And that's all the cast I wrote down. I thought this was a fun movie. The circus is fun. The monkey was fun. Like I said, I thought there was a lot of heart and humor with him interacting with both Ben and Sam. There are some obvious green screens. I think most significant standout is the wagon. When they're riding on the wagon talking, it's obvious green screen behind.
How about those wires at the end when Toby's doing his routine?
I did see a couple wires, but for the most part, I didn't see many.
I thought it actually looked pretty good for how old this is. I thought it actually looked fine.
Yeah, I didn't see any wires when he was on the horse. It was when he was on the horse in the chair and the monkey was on him. That's when I saw a wire when he went down around one time. I saw it like kind of, but the rest of the time I didn't really see it.
Okay, so you mentioned the circus being fun and everything, and I have some mixed feelings about this movie because I feel like the circus was not bright enough. Like I get that they were doing like a whole, okay, this is the 1880s or whatever. It's drab, it's kind of boring. We don't have all these eye-popping lights and things and that we would have today, but it just seemed like if this is the place to be, all the kids want to go to the circus, it just seemed a little bit drab.
Well, I think it's the 1880s circus, not the 1980s circus.
Well, I know it's not the circus of our lifetimes, but I don't know. I feel like even in other movies that portray old circuses, I feel like we've seen more, I don't know, brightly colored things. And I mean, the animals were cool. And certainly the elephant parade was really cute. And they did some fun things with it. But it didn't seem that much in contrast to his horrible family life. I mean, yeah, he was making more money and getting to play with animals and his uncle sucks, obviously. But I don't know. I just thought they could have made it more. I mean, even if it wasn't accurate, we're watching a movie on the big screen. Make it a little bit more eye-popping for the kids and the families that are coming to watch the movie.
Is it not eye-popping to today's standards? But I thought it was probably eye-popping for 1960 standards.
Maybe. I don't know. When I think of some of the recent Disney movies we've had, course, we have had a lot of westerns, but the ones that are not quite westerns that have more eye-catching colors. I mean, obviously, Technicolor, was big at the time. I don't know. I feel like it paled in comparison to what a circus should be. Like the other movies we've seen lately, where they're like in the West, or like Old Yeller. All right, that's probably you're on the prairie. I just thought they could have made it a little more exciting to look at. That's all. But look, the circus parts were fun. They were the most fun part of the movie.
Yeah. I thought there was, like I said, I thought there was great chemistry between Toby and Ben, and Toby and Sam.
Yeah.
Wait,
let's talk about Ben for a second. I thought that this Henry Calvin did a fine job. I agree. He's the heart of the movie. I love his interactions with Toby. I love when he gave Tupper what for, when he kept like throwing him in the water and stuff. That was great. But did you feel like he was basically like discount Jeff York? He had a very Jeff York vibe to him, I thought.
Well, Jeff York and Henry Colvin are both stocky guys. So I could see Jeff York in it, and I could possibly see maybe a slightly better performance from Jeff York, because we've seen him do great performance. But I thought Henry Calvin's performance of this was good. I didn't think.
I thought he was fine. There's. But I'm not slamming him, but when he first came on in the first scene, I was like, oh my god, is that Jeff York doing yet another like completely unrecognizable face?
I did think about that, and today when I was at work, I was like, I wonder if we see Jeff York again in any Disney movie. I forgot to look it up if we've seen Jeff York.
Yeah. Well, and I know he died fairly young too, so maybe he was dead already. I don't know.
Yeah, we haven't seen him in a couple of movies, so maybe his run of Disney movies is over, and we just didn't realize that. That would be sad because we love him.
Yeah.
And I did note that it was odd and maybe slightly refreshing that we had a slight opening scene before the opening credits.
I wrote that as well, that I think this is the first one we've done where I thought maybe we'd finally gotten to the era where they do most of the credits at the end, which they didn't do here. But yeah, the credits run throughout the opening scene, not just let's do 3 minutes of credits and then start the movie. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, we had a scene with just Toby Tyler, and he's looking at the circus board, and his uncle's trying to find him, and then he runs off through the circuit to see the parade of the circus coming down, and that's when we get the credits. And then they do some credits, but then they do the parade, and then they do some more credits. It's almost like they're getting to what we're kind of used to. I mean,
yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And I was way off, by the way. Jeff York lived a long time. He died in 1995, so maybe his contract was just over. But he is apparently in Zorro, so
I don't know.
Maybe we'll see him in the Zorro movie.
Maybe. Oh,
I don't know.
And then the last thing I wrote down here is they have a lot of close-up reaction shots of Kevin Corcoran, especially in that open parade scene. I didn't think they were bad as like Bobby Driscoll's stupid face that he did, but I was like, oh, like it was like, oh, here's the line reaction shot to Toby Tyler. Here's the elephants, and I'm like, oh, that's a cute like the elephants. They were dogs dressed up like elephants, but with an elephant as well. And you're like, cute. Oh, and then they do reaction shot of him, and he like smiles a little bit wider, and you're like, oh, okay. I did notice that in the early stages. But other than that, after they got away from the opening parade and the reaction shots, I didn't think it was that bad.
Well, so I think we're discovering now that Corcoran is a fine actor. We've seen him now. Is this number 4 that we've seen him, or 3 at least? Old Yeller,
Old Yeller, Shaggy Dog, and then this.
Okay, so I think, and in Old Yeller, we were unsure like
Yeah.
what was going on with his acting, whether it was more the directing, and then Shaggy Dog, we were like, oh, okay, he's fine. I think though, giving him his own movie was a little bit of a stretch. I think he was fine.
Yeah.
I don't think he was Bobby Driscoll level, like you said, but yeah, I think he's definitely better as the younger brother, the supporting character. I'm not sure if giving him his own movie worked as well as they had hoped. It wasn't bad. And I do think like once he was doing like the tricks and stuff, I mean, that was really him doing them. He seemed, genuinely to be having a good time, and I believed that. But yeah, in some of the more like emotional scenes, I'm not sure he was fully there.
Yeah, and I thought he had great chemistry with both the other guys that we talked about already,
Yeah.
and he had great chemistry with the monkey, Mr. Stubbs. I don't know what his real name was, but I thought he had.
Wait, hold on. I think I wrote it. Marquise Jr. apparently is Mr. Stubbs.
Jr. He had great chemistry with Mr. Marquise Jr. And I could see that he was able to interact with the monkey and have like kind of a friendship with him.
What about the monkey shootout scene?
I
hated it.
It was interesting. But those are the kind of like, I mean, I don't watch much old television or old movies, but I feel like I've seen many things with monkeys holding props and stuff like that, and you're like, okay, I feel like this is kind of the thing that they were doing at the time, maybe.
Yeah, it's definitely reminiscent of that sort of era, but I feel like more times than not, they do that with something that's more like fantastical, like Gilligan's Island or Bewitched or something like that. Like I felt like this movie was for the most part fairly trying to keep it like realistic and like, okay, this kid has a bum life and circus animals, and then he gets in the fight with the other kid and whatever. Like that seemed all like normal and you could believe it, and then you have the monkey just shooting off rounds, and it took me right out of the picture.
Yeah, I think that scene just went on a little too long. That
I could agree with that.
That it got a little bit more far-fetched. It was like, oh, he shot the 6 shots. Okay, it's good. But oh no, here he has a second gun. You're like, oh, okay. What? Yeah, I do agree that.
Yeah, that was a little weak. Also,
but it does fit with the story, with like something crazy like that happened, and that kind of got people interested in going to the circus, and it kind of saved the day a little bit, and Ben got to keep his job, and Toby became a star.
Yeah, I look, the ending's great. I think the ending is very happy, and he got, even though Tupper was stealing all his tips, he still got to, like you said, he made enough money that he was able to go, get his family and whatever, and then they loved him again because he had some sort of purpose. Which, by the way, like, what messages this movie has.
They were writing him letters before he became somewhat famous. It wasn't like he became famous and that they were writing letters, but Mr. Tupper was hiding them, so he didn't know that his family wanted.
I guess that's true. He didn't know. That's true. Now listen, when I was watching this, I was a little bit like, all right, they're biting off of Oz a little too much here. But then when I found out the book was from 1880, I was like, all right, well, that's actually before the Oz books. But like the whole like poor kid from the farm being raised by his uncle and aunt, he falls in with the circus, runs away from home, that whole bit. It seemed very Oz, but then I guess this came first. So there you go. Maybe Oz bit off Toby Tyler the whole time. Maybe. We just didn't know.
That's why there's flying monkeys in Oz, because they're like Marquise Jr. Man, you need to have flying monkeys.
You're right. That was the template for the flying monkeys. So overall, this was a mixed bag for me. I enjoyed watching it more than a lot of the ones we've done, actually. but I don't think it's quite as good of a movie as some of them.
No, I mean, I think the last two movies that we watched were really solid movies, and surprising movies as well.
Yeah.
This is
Last
not a
three, a Shaggy Dog too.
well. We kind of knew that that's a
Well,
classic.
right.
Start. We already knew.
You're right.
I've never seen Shaggy Dog, but I knew it was a classic. It's a movie
All
I
right.
heard, so I could kind of anticipate. But we never heard of Darby O'Gill. We never heard of Banner in the Sky. Even though I read the book, I still didn't hear of the movie.
Right. Third Man on the Mountain.
Oh, Third Man on the Mountain. Yes, I'm sorry. It was Banner in the Sky was the book. But this is definitely another movie that we never heard of. It's not as high as those, in my opinion. But I still thought it was a fun movie. It's not the best acted from the main character. I thought he had great chemistry with everybody else, but yes, you did point out that some of the emotional scenes he's a little bit lacking. But I feel like all the side characters, and even the guy that plays Mr. Tupper there, he was a really good shady, slimy type of guy. So I thought the acting was good. I thought they didn't really have like the romance in there, but they had like a little bit of chemistry with the young other horse rider girl. And I thought she was okay as well. I mean, she was doing her stuff. I think she was probably, I don't think she had wires for her stuff, maybe. I think she was actually a circus person, was she? Or was she?
I think she was probably one of the ones they got from the Barnum Circus.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say, it's tough. My grade is not as high as either of the last two movies we saw, but I think for kids, which is of course the main Disney brand, I think this would have been more enjoyable to kids back then and probably still today, over the last two films, Third Man on the Mountain, Darby O'Gill. Although Darby O'Gill had the leprechauns, that was fun, but like, and there was some heavy stuff in there, and then the romance was a little, for adults. So for that reason, I do think this is certainly worth recommending.
Yeah.
But I give this one a B-.
I was thinking B- as well. If you can find it, I feel like you should watch it. It's definitely better than some of the bottom tier that we've watched, like Littlest Outlaw and things like that.
Tonka.
Well, Tonka was okay.
Tonka was all right.
Maybe Tonka got a C+, B- range as well. But this is definitely more family friendly, more kids oriented than that. And some of the other westerns like Westward Ho the Wagons, is definitely better than that, and more family enjoyable entertainment than that as well. So
yeah, I think it's definitely worth the whatever it costs, probably $4 or $5 to rent it on Amazon or something. I mean, you could maybe wait and see if they'll put it on Disney Plus. I mean, they do keep adding things every couple months, I guess, but I feel like maybe for the reason of like, we don't really have circuses anymore because they're so like animal cruel, like maybe that's one of the reasons it hasn't been put on. I don't know,
but you have The Greatest Showman on Disney Plus, so
that's true. And that's true, there's a lot of course those are all CGI, everything, but
I know, but it is kind of painting the Barlin Berry with rose-colored glasses there.
Yeah, it's true. Very colorful though.
It's very colorful, and it has great songs. I highly recommend watching it. I mean, we can all agree that circuses are not the best thing these days.
Yes, agreed. All right, but a good one, I think, from good old Toby Tyler, or the whole long title.
If you are a part of the movie club, Disney Movie Club, and you're looking to maybe get something like that, don't you get like certain amount of free movies if you get stuff like maybe your Disney collection?
Yeah, this is one I'm definitely glad I spent the dime on for Disney Movie Club. So Tim, thank you for joining. We'll be back next time with Kidnapped.
Yep.
And then I think is Zorro out right after that, or is there still one more in there?
It's either The Sign of Zorro, which is the Zorro movie we're watching, or I think it's The Last True Life Adventure, which is Jungle Cat. I don't remember which one comes first. And then
Right.
also,
Yeah.
also 101 Dalmatians is somewhere in there as well before we get to Swiss Family Robinson.
Oh, okay. Right on. So Joe will be with me for that. All right. Well, Tim, thanks a lot for joining, and thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.